ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। We were looking at the Maitreyi Brahmanam, which is the fourth Brahmana in the second chapter. Here we were looking at this particular Vakya, Idam Sarvam Yad Ayam Atma. So this is the teaching. In fact, this is the teaching which conveys the entire Vedantic teaching actually. Idam Sarvam Yad Ayam Atma. Everything that is here is nothing but Atma. Whatever was given before that, all that is fine. In fact, these things are all only leading one to understand that whatever that is there here is nothing but this Atma. Now, this particular statement itself can be considered as Atma Shravanam, because previously when Bhashyakara has pointed out here, we saw the Bhashya also, that Atma is under discussion and Atma is to be heard, correct? Atma vare shrotavyaha. Now, what is the teaching which we have to listen about this Atma? It is that all that is here is nothing but Atma. That is the teaching. Now, the implications of this statement also we have to understand at multiple levels. What are the implications? In fact, if we do a grammatical analysis of this particular statement, that whatever is there here is Atma, all that is here is Atma. Now, this is an appositional verb, you can say. That means we are equating two different things, correct? Or we are actually, in Sanskritam we call it Samanadhikaranyam. We are using two words which are pointing to the same locus or location or the same thing. Now, when we talk about Samanadhikaranyam, generally we say that there are many different types of Samanadhikaranyam can be enumerated. In fact, it is said that there are 4 types of Samanadhikaranyam. Out of which, what is this also we have to understand, because different acharyas can claim this to be different types of Samanadhikaranyam. Because whenever we use two nouns pointing to the same substantive, we have to understand the meaning of that properly. The most common usage is adjectival usage, correct? So Visheshana Visheshya Bhava Sambandha we say, okay, or even the Samanadhikaranyam is basically pointing out to a Visheshana Visheshya Bhava Sambandha. What is that? Suppose I say flower is blue. Now, flower is pointing to a substantive, blue also is pointing to a substantive, but blue is an adjective or a quality of the substantive flower. So this kind of a usage is very common. Whenever we are using an adjective and a noun with the verb is, this kind of usage is there. This can also be in other cases, not only just adjective. Sometimes we can say Gir is a cow. Means it is like a category to subcategory, correct? Or a subset to a superset. In all those places also we can use this. In many different places we can use. So that is one type of where some relationship is pointed out, either a jati vyakti or a visheshana visheshya, like that. That is a very common usage. Then what is the other usage? which we are very familiar, is that Aikya Samanadhikaranyam, we say. The appositional usage points to identity rather than a quality and a substantive and all that. It points to the identity. So what is the usage here? Soyam Devadatta is a very favorite example for us. This is that Devadatta. Now this is that Devadatta is different from flower is blue, correct? Because in this is that Devadatta, we have to leave out all the qualities of this Devadatta, leave out all qualities of that Devadatta, because they will not match anyway. But the Swarupa, the person is still the same. Okay, so that kind of Aikya Samanadhikaranyam only actually reveals the Swarupa of a Vastu. That to a Vastu which is already known, correct? And that applies in the context of Mahavakyas also. All the Mahavakyas we talk about in Vedanta, like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Ayamatma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma, all of them are, there are many more are there. Although these four are famously called as Mahavakyas, but there are many Mahavakyas. Even this one is a Mahavakya really. Idam Sarvam Yadayamatma is a Mahavakya only. All of them reveal a certain identity between the individual self and the self of all, we can say, are the cause of this entire creation. The identity is revealed by giving up the actual qualities, because if you only look at the qualities, there is no identity, correct? The dharma, if you look at it, the dharma, there is no identity, there is no samanya or abheda. The abheda is there in the dharmi, we say. Okay, so all the qualities we have to leave out, only the substantive, there is identity. When we say this is that Devadatta, or when we say Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, in all these cases, the Samanadhikaranyam, the appositional usage is used to point out the identity of two apparently different things, correct? Only when there is apparent difference, we need to even point out the identity. Nobody will say 1 equal to 1. We have to at least minimum say 3 minus 2 equal to 4 minus 3 or something like that, correct? Apparently different things only we have to point out the identity. So identity usage is called Aikya Samanadhikaranyam. That is one usage. Then there is also Adhyasika Samanadhikaranyam. The Samanadhikaranyam because of Adhyasa. The Adhyasa itself can be real, like you have mistaken one thing for the other, correct? When you say this is rope or this is snake, sorry, this is snake is the Adhyasa. On rope you are seeing snake, but this is really rope, but you are seeing snake on that. There is no real snake there. So this is a Adhyasa. Or that Adhyasa can be deliberate. That kind of usage also is there in the language, or even in Shastra also it is there. Deliberate superimposition, when we do, when Shastra actually tells that you have to do an upasana, sampat upasana. Okay, Salagrame Vishnuhu. So if you see Vishnu in Salagrama, that is deliberate superimposition, correct? That is in Upasana also there is Adhyasa, but that Adhyasa is deliberate. When you see rope snake also there is Adhyasa, but that is something erroneous cognition, we have to say. And in another case, we also have similes, correct? Nidarshana, we say in Sanskritam. So Simhoyam Manavakaha, this student is lion. When we say, again, the student is not really a lion. If student is a lion, nobody will be there. We'll all start running, I think. The guru will not be there then. But that is only a figurative usage. So in figurative usage or in erroneous cognition, the Samanadhikaranyam is due to adhyasa or superimposition. Then there is also one more thing, which is what we are interested here. In fact, when we say idam sarvam yada ayam atma, what kind of Samanadhikaranyam it is? It is called Badhayam Samanadhikaranyam or Badha Samanadhikaranyam, we can say. So the appositional usage is to negate one thing and establish the reality of the other thing. That is what is called negational usage of apposition. So when we say this snake is rope, there the snake is negated and the reality of the rope is established, correct? So it's a negational usage of is. Similarly here, idam sarvam yad ayam atma, when the Upanishad is teaching you, basically the Upanishad is teaching you the mithyatvam of idam sarvam. Understand that. Idam sarvam is negated. Only this atma alone is real. That is established here. And again, this atma is not some paramatma sitting above the clouds and all that, correct? That's why ayam atma is very important. The word ayam here is not tad atma, ayam atma. So this individual self is all this entire subject object division is there. Everything is atma alone. So when idam sarvam yada ayam atma is mentioned by the Shastra here, idam sarvam is mithya. Jagan mithyatvam is established here very clearly. So that is the teaching. In fact, that is the crux of the teaching. And this individual self alone is the substantive, is the only thing which is really there. That has to be understood. And the Sarvatma Bhava also is talked about here as a Jnana Phalam, correct? This Jnanam, when you see the Atma as it is, you have to see Atma as the Atma of every being. There is no other way of seeing it. If you see in any other way, one more teaching also will become a problem, correct? Because see the way Yajnavalkya has started. He has started very beautifully here, saying what? Sarvasya kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. In fact, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. That is how he has introduced this Atma itself. So, everything is loved only because it pleases the self. You may tell that I love you and all that to any number of people, or you can love so many objects, so many things, but all of them are only lovable till the time they invoke the pleased self in you. That is a truth which cannot be denied by anybody, in fact. Correct? Now, that establishes this Atma itself as the source of all happiness, because Atma or self alone is unconditionally loved. Everything else is loved only because of the love for Atma alone. The love for the pleased self alone makes every other object, every other being also lovable. So how do we connect that with this saying that everything is this Atma? That is because if you want to have this Atma Ananda, correct? Atma Ananda Praptihi is the Purushartha for everybody. What is the pursuit? The pursuit is that I have to be complete. Aham Purnaha. I am Triptaha. Aham Triptaha. correct? I am satisfied totally. I am not a wanting person. This is what everybody is pursuing. Everybody want to accomplish this. Now, how can I be like that? I cannot be totally satisfied by seeing something as different from me, correct? Even if one small thing is different from you, udaramantaram kurute athatasya bhayam bhavati. This is Taittiriya Upanishad. Even if you make a small difference, the other thing, if you other anything, you are othering yourself also from that thing. Understand that. So you also become equally limited by that other thing. And then once you are limited, that other thing also will become a cause of fear. It will become a source of fear. Athatasya bhayam bhavati. Bhayam will be there. You cannot escape that. So the first portion of this whole teaching is about othering, correct? If you other anything in this world, you are also othered by that thing. You also equally become limited. That's what beautifully it is pointed out. Therefore, only way of gaining Atmananda is to see everything as Atma. There is no other way of having Atmananda. Everything is yourself. As soon as you create any difference in that, any division, and start looking something as Anatma, you become Anatma to that. And then any Anatma is only going to be a source of fear. Even though you may say that I love and all that, love can only be there for Atma. And if everything is Atma, then everything can be also loved like Atma, in fact, correct? And everything can become a source of joy. That is how we can attain Atmananda. That is the real limitless Purnatvam, whatever we call, correct? You have different words for that. Ananda Prapti. If there is even a small Dvaita Darshana, then all this Ananda will be gone. Okay, there cannot be any Ananda which is comparable to this Atma Ananda. The Atma Ananda will be lost as soon as you see anything different from you, anything which is limiting you, anything which is other than you. So that is the connection here. This Atmastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. Therefore, you have to know this Atma, and this Atma itself is everything. You cannot know it any other way. If everything is this Atma, then only Atmananda alone is there really. There is nothing else. And that is Purnatvam. You are complete. You are whole. You are partless whole, I have to say, correct? Aham, aham, aham. This aham spurana is really partless whole, correct? Even experientially, if we take, the I sense is a partless whole. I can never have any part in myself. Even those who have body consciousness, even if you take away one limb, he is still I only, correct? That I is I. It is not 3/4 I, because one leg is gone. Even in the eyes of law, if you kill somebody who does not have a leg, the judge will not give you only 3/4 life sentence or whatever is the punishment, correct? Legally also a person is still a person, whether he has one limb or not and all that. So what I am trying to point out is, I is actually always a partless whole. That's how we experience ourselves. You have to hold on to that. That's all. You are always a partless whole, complete. And anything else, any division you see, it's all only apparent. You are the invariable in each and every cognition. That is something you should not miss. That is something which is missed, which is taken for granted. In every objective knowledge also, the subject which is invariable, which is the conscious being, is you. That alone is real. In fact, because that alone is invariable, that alone is there without changing its nature all the time. Correct? That alone is Satyam. Whatever is coming and going, it's all only Mithya, doesn't really count. Now, that is what is pointed out by this Badayam Samanadhikaranyam also, because all that you see in this objective world, they are all only appearances, they are all only names and forms. They don't have independent existence other than this Atma. They only exist as this Atma. And that is the teaching, that is Shravanam you can take. So Yajnavalkya is giving the Vedantic teaching here, saying that this Jagan Mithya and Brahma Satyam, and this Brahman and Atma are also not different, because I am Atma is said to be all this, whatever is there here as this objective world. Correct? By equating this individual self to all that is there here, all that is there here is negated, and you alone, you, the individual self, is presented as Satyam. You are that Satyam Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is nothing but this Atma. That is the teaching. And Bhashyakara also is talking about that only, but because he says that the entire thing is born only in this Atma. Correct? And then everything resolves back into this Atma. And even when you see something, that is also sustained by the same consciousness alone. Correct? So one has to see everything as not separate from oneself. That is the teaching. And once you see like that, you also gain Atmananda, because everything is Atma, means nothing is separate from yourself. And then there can be, that is the only way you can have universal love and all that. Otherwise, there is no universal love. Understand that. As long as Anatma is there, you will only allow it to go away at some point in time. Correct? Even your own parents, if they become very sick and all that. In fact, I have got requests from people, okay, from close family members. They tell me, is there any prayer so that my whoever is the close relative can pass away peacefully, because they are suffering now, they are in terminally ill case or whatever, they are in some difficulty, let them at least go. So that is how it is. That's the reality. In fact, there are prayers like that also anyway. That's a different thing. So this Atma alone is there, and everything you have to see as Atma. That is the Jnana Phala. Correct? Seeing, knowing that I am everything, and then from that only the Sarvatma Bhava, if it is not there, then there is no Ananda Prapti also. Atmananda can be attained only when this knowledge also is firm. As long as you see anything as different from you, then it is going to be a cause of sorrow, fear, etc. There is no other way. So this is the most important teaching which Yajnavalkya is giving here, and this can be taken as Shrotavyaha. Correct? He said. So this is the Shravanam. The teaching is presented here. You listen to this. You try to assimilate this. Then the Mananam part starts. Few analogies are all given. So we say that Mananam means using some analogies, some supporting logic, we try to understand. Now, how do we understand this Atma alone is everything? Even though it is said here that you have to understand this Atma as everything, it is still not clear to me. Can you give me some analogy, something with which I can assimilate this, means that's what Upanishad itself is giving here. This is called Shruti Sammata Tarka. Okay, you are using some analogy, some logic to support whatever the teaching which is already presented. The teaching which is presented is Shravanam, means the supporting logic which is now given here can be considered as Mananam. So what is the Mananam part here? Let us see that. Sayata Dundubher Hanyamanasya na Bahyan Shabdan Shaknuyat Grahanaya Dundubhestu Grahanena Dundubi Aghatasya va Shabdaha Grihitaha. So here Sayatha means even like, means it's an analogy. An analogy is started here. Dundubi means we all know in Indian language, Dundubi word is there, like a drum. It's a type of drum, let us say. So the drum, when you beat the drum, correct, you are getting different types of notes and different types of beats also we get, correct. There are different timings in that, different calculations are there. Aditala, correct, there is an Aditala is there, 8 beats in a cycle. Then there are other types of Rupakatala is there, 6 beats. So like this different, even with the count also, how you count it, there can be differences. So on the base of that also there are different beats are there. Now all these different beats, okay, are all nothing but the sound of the drum, correct. At the end of the day, if the sound of the drum is not there, there are no beats. There is no Aditala, Rupakatala or any other tala. So you can talk about so many different types of tala, but they are all not independent of the sound of the drum itself. The sound of the drum is the upadana, you can say. You understand now? So here what Upanishad is trying to establish is that it is saying that this Atma is the upadana karana for this entire Jagat. Even like the sound of the drum is the common, is the upadana, based on which you are talking about so many things. You are talking about, as I told you, Aditala, Rupakatala, etc. Depending on how you beat it, okay. But all those variations cannot exist by themselves. They have to only exist in the form of the drum sound. Is that clear? The drum sound is the generic or the general which pervades all the specific types of beats which you can count or which you can enumerate or which you can try to understand. So it is also like saying that there can be many types of parts, but at the end of the day, all of them are clay, correct? You cannot perceive them if clay is not there. There can be thousands of jewelry, all of them are nothing but gold at the end of the day. You cannot perceive them separately. So the Karana Karya Prakriya also is very important here. It is pointed out, you can say, because in Karana Karya Prakriya, the cause and effect methodology of teaching is used to show that the effect is mithya. Effect does not have independent existence. The material cause alone really exists. If I say material, don't think it is a material like only a clay or gold and all that, correct? It's like a physical solid substance. In this case, the upadana karana, the dundubi nada itself is upadana karana for all these specific things we talk about, correct? So the upadana is not just a physical or a solid thing alone always. We don't have to think about it like that. So even this, some of these examples make us understand that clearly. So here, interestingly, the dundubi is taken as an analogy. So it says that either the sound of the drum itself or the particular stroke or beat of the drum. Dundubestu grahanena Okay. Or Dundubi Agatasya va Shabdaha Grihitaha, it says. So Dundubi Agataha means what? A particular type of beating of the drum. Or general sound of the drum. Both ways you can say like that. The Upanishad is saying all the Bahyan Shabdan here means all the specific things like I told you, correct? Different types of beats, etc. Or even the time, how fast it is and all that, correct? We have Vilambit and all that. Vilambit means slowly you go. The same 8 beat can be very slow or it can become faster, correct? So like this, in music, we have so many different types of beats. We do talk about all those differences, specific things, but at the end of the day, all of them are nothing but a particular sound of the drum or a particular beat of the drum. Okay, that's how we have to take. So this similarly, this Atma alone is the Upadana. All the differences you see in the world, they are all nothing but names and forms, okay, appearances. They don't have independent existence by themselves. Everything is really Atma alone. That is what is pointed out here. So now let us see what Bhashyakara says. Katham punaha idanim idam sarvam atmaiva iti grahitum shakyate. So he says, no, how do I understand that all that is here is this self alone? How do I grahitum means what? How do I get it? How do I assimilate it? How can I really understand clearly? So for that now this drishtanta is given. So what Bhashyakara says, Chinmatra anugama sarvatra chit surupata eva iti gamyate. So how do I understand that all this is Atma? Because everything is pervaded by this consciousness alone. Chinmatra anugamat sarvatra. So wherever you see this, our Pujya Swamiji used to teach this very beautifully, correct? He will say, let us say, this is a mouse. Okay, in internet world, this is mouse. Okay, so when you see the mouse consciousness is fine. Then what? I see the laptop consciousness is. Then I see something else here. There is something to eat. Apple is there. Apple consciousness is. Then I see orange also is there on the dining table. Orange consciousness is. So now all these things are there. I told you, no, mouse consciousness is, laptop consciousness is, Apple consciousness is, orange consciousness is. Now what are all the, what is the changing thing in this? Mouse, laptop, Apple, orange, these are all changing. But what is the invariable? Invariable is consciousness is. Consciousness is, consciousness is, consciousness is. That is you, in fact. Consciousness is the invariable in each and every cognition. If you appreciate that, then this consciousness is the one which is pervading each and every cognition, irrespective of whatever you may cognize. That alone is real, in fact. Everything else is only name and form. They are all only appearances. That has to be clearly understood. Consciousness is Chinmatra Anugamat, Bhashyakara says beautifully here, Sarvatra. So whichever thing you see, the same thing is said in Kenopanishad beautifully, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Bodham Bodham Prati, each and every cognition, what is known invariably, this consciousness is. That if you know, no, then it is Amritatvam hi vindate, it says, Pratibodha Viditam Matam, correct? If you know that which is invariable in each and every cognition, then you have gained immortality. In fact, here also Maitreya is asking for Amritatvam only. Because that consciousness is also transcends space-time. Because space-time also is consciousness is only, correct? I am conscious I know space, I know time. When I cognize it, I know that. It's all also part of, everything is becoming evident to me as a conscious being. Whether it is space, time, all the objects in space, time, known, unknown, everything is evident to only this consciousness is, and that alone pervades everything. That means, therefore, Chit Swarupata eva iti gamyate, everything, their nature is nothing but consciousness. This consciousness alone gives existence to everything, whether it is a sentient being, insentient being, everything is pervaded by this consciousness alone. And to make you understand this, only this analogy is given. Tatra drishtantaha uchyate. So with reference to this drishtanta is said or given. What is that? Yet Swaru. Again, Bhashyakara explains beautifully here. These are all, I think, quotable quotes, or you can even note down like a notes of Bhashyakara. He says, Yet Swarupa Vyatirekena Agrahanam Yasya Tasya Tad Atmatvam Eva Loke Drishtam. Beautiful. So, Yet Swarupa Vyatirekena Agrahanam Yasya. So, let us take with an example, let me explain, because this Yat, Yasya and all is pointing to different things here. So, first Yasya is, let us say, Ghatasya. Okay. The Ghata part is there, that is this Yasya. Then Yat Swarupa Vyatirekena Agrahanam. It cannot be seen without seeing the nature, without cognizing its nature or something else's nature. What is that? It is clay. If it is a clay part, you cannot cognize a part without it being a clay, correct? Its Swarupa, which is its Swarupa. So Yat Swarupa is really clay here. And if it is a clay part, clay Vyatirekena Agrahanam, part cannot be seen without it being clay. Then what? Tasya, for that Ghatasya, Tad Atmatvam. So for the Ghata now, its Atma itself or its nature is nothing but clay. Correct? Tad Atmatvam. This is known in the Loka, it is known very well in the world. Okay. So Yat Swarupa Vyatirekena Agrahanam Yasya Tasya Tad Atmatvam Eva Loke Drishtam Sayatha. Okay, now, so having given this note, Bhashyakara now, Sayatha, so he is now giving the actual Bhashya, he starts, Sa iti drishtantaha. So, Saha here, it starts, means it is starting a simile, analogy, drishtanta. So, Loke yatha, in the world, like what? Dundubehe, Bherya dehe. So, Dundubhi or Bheri means it is a drum, it's a kind of drum. I think even in this Mahabharata serial and all, we can see they will be playing even before a war and all that. So Hanyamanasya, Tadyamanasya. Hanyamanasya means what here? Hanyamanasya is there, means Tadyamanasya means when it is being beaten, the drum which is beaten. Dandadina, okay, Bhashyakara also, with a stick or something, okay, you are beating. So the drum which is being beaten, okay, na, here na bahyan shabdan. So na bahyan shabdan, bahir bhutan, shabda visheshan, dundubi shabda samanyat nikrishtan, dundubi shabda visheshan. So bahyan shabdan means what it is. Bhashyakara is explaining with all these words. Bahir bhutan, okay, something other than the basic sound of the drum itself. So basically it can be a shabda visheshan. You are using different words for that, because all adjectives you are using different tala names and all you are giving, like I told you, correct? Whatever is there is really only sound of the drum, but you are saying no, this is Adi talam, no, that is Rupaka talam. Like this we are making all this shabda vishesha. using words, different words. We are classifying it into different things, names and forms. And Dundubi Shabda Samanyat Nikrishtan. Nikrishta means, again, there are two meanings are there. Nearness also is one meaning. Nikrishtaha means very near. Okay, here we can take it as something which is similar to Dundubi Shabda. Okay, or it is something which is inferior and all that meaning also is there. Nikrishta means, here I don't think inferior meaning will fit. Here it is like something which is nearer, which is similar to this common sound of the drum alone, but they are all having some specific particular details, correct? So Dundubi Shabda Samanyan Nikrishtan, Dundubi Shabda Visheshan. So those which have the Dundubi Shabda as common denominator, but still they are having some Vishesha also, some differences, some particular features we can say, or qualities or whatever. But you cannot hear them separately other than as sound of the drum alone. You can other than the sound of drum, you cannot hear them. You have to hear all of those Visheshas also as only the drum sound. So all this Vishesha, then what he says, na shaknuyat grahanaya grahitum. So that here Upanishad itself says that, in fact, this na you have to connect with shaknuyat grahanaya. That's what Bhashyakara does here. So na shaknuyat grahanaya grahitum. You cannot hear them other than it being the general sound of the drum alone. Dundubestu grahanena. Okay. So as the sound of the drum alone, you can hear them. You cannot hear them separately, because the drum sound alone is the upadana. Like even the clay is the upadana for the pot. Here the general sound of the drum is the upadana for all the specific types of talas or any other kind of vishesha you can think of. So Dundubi Shabda Samanya Visheshatvena. So Dundubestu Grahanena means, Bhashyakara explains that further. Here Dundubestu Grahanena means what? It is all like Dundubi Shabda Samanya Visheshatvena. So whatever is commonly known as the drum sound, you can only hear them as drum sound. You cannot hear them other than that. So they are all really sound of drum only. So Dundubi Shabdaha Yete Iti. You have to hear them as all of them as only drum sound first. Then only all the differentiation and all you can talk about. So Shabda Visheshaha Grihitaha Bhavanti. So all the Visheshas, any specific tala, etc., you talk about, all of them you have to tell only as this. Okay, one point here, I read it as Nikrishta by mistake. It is Nishkrishtaha, means that which is produced. Then Nishkrishtaha means they are all the specific sounds are also produced as only this Samanya sound. Okay, all parts are anyway only clay really. They are only produced from clay, or they are only created out of clay. Similarly here, Niskrishtaha, I by mistake I read it as Nikrishtaha. So they are all really modifications of only this general sound. The meaning, whatever generally we are trying to say, is the same. Okay, so all of them are Dundubi Shabda only. Dundubi Shabdaha Ete Iti Shabda Visheshaha Grihitaha Bhavanti. So all these different sounds of this drum are all only heard as drum sound. Dundubi Shabda Samanya Vyatirekena Abhavat Tesham. So Bhashyakara makes it very clear. They do not exist other than being the drum sound in general. Like even no pot can exist other than being a clay, if it is a clay pot. Or no jewelry can exist other than it being gold, if it is a gold jewelry. Or the other ways also, one more option, what? Va dundubi aghatasya. Dundubehe ahananam aghataha. So it is a particular stroke or beat, type of beating also, because even if you beat the drum, if you beat it in different manner, the sounds may come differently. If you press one end and beat, then maybe the sound is slightly different, correct? So we can say that all these sounds are nothing but a particular type of beat of the drum also we can take, whichever way you take, whether the drum sound in general as the upadana or a particular beating of the drum itself as the upadana, whichever way it is, they are all really specific. All the specifics are some form of this general only is the point. It is the, that is what is being pointed out here. Dundubehe ahananam. Okay. Dundubi aghata vishishtasya shabda samanyasya grahanena tadgata visheshaha grihitaha bhavanti. Natu te eva nirbidya grahitum shakyante. So they cannot be separately cognized. They have to be cognized either as the drum sound or a specific beating of the, or a specific stroke of the drum. That is the only way we can understand all the different specific beats which we talk about. Because Vishesha Rupena Abhavat Tesham. So they do not exist independently. The Vishesha cannot exist independently. The Samanya has to be there. Similarly, what? Tatha Prajnana Vyatirekena Swapna Jagaritayoho na Kaschid Vastu Visheshaha Grihyate. Bhashyakara. Now connecting Yatha and Tatha. In fact, the Tatha part is not there here. Upanishad is just left with Yatha only. Bhashyakara is supplying the Tatha. Similarly, what? Like even the sound, the general sound of the drum, consciousness is the upadana. Whether you are in the waking state, dream state, deep sleep, consciousness alone is there, I. All other things which you cognize are all only appearances in this consciousness. They come and go. They do not have independent existence because they come and go. So they do not have any substance. Bhashyakara says, Kaschid Vastu Visheshaha na Grihyate. Okay. They do not have any substance, existence of their own. It is all only names and forms, appearances. Whatever you see in this waking dream, all of them are really conscious. They are all play of this consciousness only. They do not exist independently of this consciousness. Therefore, Atma alone is all this. That's what he is saying. So, Tasmat Prajnana Vyatirekena Abhavaha Yuktaha Tesham. So, they are all, they do not exist other than being this consciousness. So, that is how we have to understand this. So, this analogy has been used for this purpose. So, since analogy or logic is being used to make you assimilate this teaching, this part is considered or can be considered as mananam. Okay. In fact, more analogies are given. Bhashyakara doesn't even give much bhashya here. He says, Sa yatha shankhasya dhyaya manasya, sorry, not dhya, dhmaya manasya. Dhma, you have to say, dhmaya manasya, na bhahyan shabdan shaknuyat grahanaya, shankhasya tu grahanena, shankadhmasya va shabdaha grihitaha. So, like the drum, now shankha or conch is taken as an example. So when the conch is blown, correct? You are blowing the conch. When the conch is blown, what happens? Again, there are different notes are all coming. You can have high pitch, lower, etc. Now all those notes are nothing but the sound of the conch alone. Correct? So you cannot really hear them if the sound, you cannot say leave out the sound of the conch. I only want to hear sa. sa, re, ga, ma, and all you can say. You can blow in the shankha also like that, let us say. But everything is really the sound of the shankha only, or the conch. So they are all sounds of the conch, or different types of playing or creating the sounds. Like there you said different strokes or beats of the drum itself. Here also you may be able to play the conch. Different people, the way they blow and all may be different, correct? So either you say it is all the sound of the shell itself or the conch, or the different ways of playing that conch also, or blowing into the conch. So all the specific notes are all really nothing but the sound of the conch, or different way of playing that conch. They do not have any independent existence of themselves. Okay, so Bhashakara also doesn't give much bhasha. He says tata sa yatha shankasya dhmayamanasya shabdena sanyodhyamanasya apuryamanasya na bahyan shabdan shaknuyat ityevamadi purvavati. So he said all the meaning of this you have to understand like before. Here also when you say bahyan shabdan means all the other words which we use, like this is this raga, that raga, all the ragas are nothing but basically it is either human voice, you have to say, or the sound of the conch in this case. So you have to, or the sound of some instrument, correct? Without it being the sound of that instrument, there is no separate raga and all that. You can have thousands of ragas. All those things are bahyan shabdan only, correct? They are all different words to describe. But at the end of the day, all those words, they cannot, whatever is pointed out by those words cannot exist other than being the sound of that particular instrument. Therefore, that is the one which pervades all the specific, whatever specific things which you have pointed out using specific words, all of them are there only because of this general sound. That is the one which pervades as the upadana. So it is all that only really. That alone really exists. So this is another example. Then what? Shankha and Veena. So now you can see Veena is referred to in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad itself. That is our original instrument. Although nowadays in classical music we have violin. Violin is really a Western instrument which came to India, I think, only some maybe 300, 400 years back, and then it was adopted. But really Veena and Venu, correct, flute, because Venu is always associated with our Venu Gopala, Venu Vadyaika Rasikaha, and all we in the Ashtotra also every day we say. But not only that, interestingly, the Venu Gopala Ashtotram which we say in the temple, in that Veena also is there. One Ashtotra Namavali is associated with, I think, I'm not remembering, no, but there is a Nama associated with Veena also there, even though Krishna is associated with flute, but he is also Veena Vadya Rasika or something like that is there, or Veena Vadya Nipunaha, expert in also Veena, Krishna is. So anyway, so here the next example is what? Sayata Veenaye Vadyamanaye na Bahyan Shabdan Shakniyat Grahanaya Veenaye tu Grahanena Veena Vadasya va Shabdaha Grihitaha. So next is Veena Vadya, the sound or the playing of the Veena. Again with Veena we can play any number of ragas. Those are all the Bahyan Shabdan, correct? You can have specific ragas, etc. You can discuss. Musicologists, if you allow them, they will talk about so many intricacies in all that with different words. But at the end of the day, all of them are nothing but Veena sound or specific way of playing that Veena, whichever way you can take. So Veena Vadasya or just Veena itself. So they are all only words which are actually indicating certain things, but they do not exist other than this play of Veena or the sound of Veena. Now, one point Bhashyakara is taking, Aneka Drishtanta Upadanam Iha Samanya Bahutva Kyapanartham Aneke hi Vilakshanaha Chetana Achetana Rupaha Samanya Visheshaha Tesham Paramparya Gatya Yata Ekasmin Maha Samanye Antarbhavaha Prajnana Ghane Kathan Nama Pradarshayitavyaha iti. So, why Upanishad is using all these different examples? Okay, that's what Bhashyakara is pointing out. In fact, here one more grammatical point also is there. So here Veena Yai is there, fourth case, but actually it should be sixth case. Veena Yaha, like that Bhashyakara silently he points out here what. So Veenayai Vadyamanayai should be taken as Veenayaha Vadyamanayaha. So you have to take it as the sixth case really, but in Upanishad sometimes all this fourth case can be used in sixth case meaning and all that. Okay, this is Chandasam. So that point is silently pointing it out. Then anyway, this point is what? Why many drishtantas are given here? Okay, because there are many things we are seeing here, correct? Many categories of things we are seeing in this objective world. Samanya Bahutva Kyapanartham. So Aneka Drishtanta Upadana means what? The usage of Aneka Drishtanta or citation of many different examples is only to indicate or to teach you that there are many different things, but all of them have something which is common, which is this consciousness alone is the common, correct? So he further explains that. He says, Anekehi vilakshanaha chetana achetana rupaha samanya visheshaha. So there are many things are there, many distinct species are there, even within living beings only there are so many are there. Then the insentient, also so many objects are there, both sentient and insentient if you take. Now all of them have to be shown as this Chaitanya Swarupam alone, correct? How to show that? That's why the Upanishad is using all three different upadanas or three different analogies. Okay. So to show that the Samanya Vishesha has to be shown for all these things which are both Chetana and Achetana. In fact, dream is very useful example here. Otherwise, but even modern science is helping us here, I would say. Modern science really helps us to assimilate Vedanta easily. If you look at science properly, modern science is saying even if you go and reduce everything to particles and all that and go at the quantum level, you require an observer to collapse the quantum system and all that they are talking about. Of course, who is that observer? There is no clarity even now. Different people, there are two different opinions are there. There is a Copenhagen, what Niels Bohr and others, they talk about more which is similar to Vedanta in fact. But there are other opinions are also there. But anyway, even modern science can be used to assimilate that everything is really nothing but consciousness, can be understood using modern science. In fact, during our course also, Swamiji used to call a quantum physicist called Goswami. I think he is Amit Goswami. So he wrote a book called Self-Aware Universe. So if you can get that book, you can read it also. It's a useful book. Of course, don't take certain things very seriously in that, but it can help you to, if you read it properly, you can understand, you can assimilate Vedanta, because the one interpretation at least of quantum physics says that consciousness is required to collapse the quantum system and produce whatever the physical reality which we are cognizing. That means consciousness is the basis for everything. Okay, so this kind of an understanding is there among many proper scientists who have done, who have got their PhDs and all that, who are accepted, I hope, by the scientific community also at large. So that is helpful, correct? We can understand that. But here anyway, Upanishad is trying to teach you that by giving different examples. That's what Bhashyakara is pointing out here. So to show that, so here he says basically, Tesham Paramparya Gatya, he says. Paramparya means one next like that. Okay, in a series of steps, that one can become many, or one itself can be looked upon as many specific things. One general thing can be looked upon as many specific things. In fact, that we can understand with science much better now, as I told you, because even in classical physics, they said that everything is electron, proton, neutron. Now, how did only three things become all this world? I don't know. Scientists may not have an answer for that. Only thing they can say is they all somehow got together. Like even our Nayayika also says the same thing. He says there is a Paramanu, then two Paramanus become Dvanuk. Okay, two Paramanus come together and they become Dvanuk, and three Dvanuks come together and become a Trenuk. And then from there onwards, everything has come and all that. So our Nayayikas are also talking something similar to that. Anyway, so the idea here is they talk about a few fundamental blocks or particles which make up this entire creation universe. But then we have to go one step further, which is that there is only one consciousness, and that alone is appearing as all these things. So that is the teaching, and I hope we can assimilate it using all these analogies. We'll continue this next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद।